Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I'm John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, it is a lovely, lovely morning, and we need to check on with the weather. Let's see what the weather is like. The folks are on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Are they on the line? Oh, hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you, Crystal?
I'm great, thank you.
You feeling the April Fool, or it's all okay?
I don't think it's a good April Fool day, but yeah.
Crystal, I'll tell you what, let's get on into it. Tell us about the general situation. What should we expect today?
Well, seasonably warm and dry conditions prevail.
All right, sounds like the same thing as yesterday. And in the 24-hour forecast?
Sunny with a few cloudy spells today, and clear to partly cloudy tonight with a slight chance of isolated showers, mostly over the south.
Oh, wow. I guess they're looking forward to that. What does that say for our temperatures for today?
The highs today will be 88 along the coast, 96 inland, and 81 in the mountain pine ridge.
And the lows?
Tonight will be 80 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 72 inland, and 68 in the hills.
All right. And, well, it seems to be very straightforward. So tell us about the outlook.
The outlook would be for fair, warm, and dry conditions to prevail Thursday and Thursday night.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. It seems like we'll be saying the same thing again tomorrow. And...
Yeah. And of course, just one more update before we go. The fire risk for today. We're still getting concerns from people about people lighting brush fires.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, for the fire forecast, continued warm and dry conditions support a high risk of fires, especially over northern areas.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So no one should be intentionally setting fires as well.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
And you guys as well.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We know now exactly what we should expect throughout the day when it comes to the weather. Thank you, Crystal, for that weather update.
And we're going to keep things moving with a bit of motivation. And that means it's time for Eye Opener for this morning. Or Eye Opener is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. When we affirm that we are fulfilled rather than deficient, we are asserting that contentment is a natural way of being. The creative power of the universe is infinite. A single molecule's destiny is as important as the consequences of the largest supernova. Human potential is subject to this power. But because we're sentient beings, each of us is permitted to choose whether we will struggle against it or work in tandem with it. When we give voice to our desires through focused meditation or solicit the help of a spirit guide, we draw upon the universe's creative power to achieve certain ends. However, because our words are not all the universe hears, the response we receive may surprise us. When we ask the universe for something, the unspoken message is that what we want does not exist, and the universe accepts this as truth. Conversely, we manifest completeness through affirmations in which we declare our desires as if we have already obtained them. We choose not to focus on lack or dissatisfaction because we understand that the energy of our thoughts will determine the response we receive to our entreaties. Ask yourself how you would feel if your wishes were granted, and then allow yourself to internalize that emotional state. To meet your needs and achieve your desires, you need then only banish all thoughts of emptiness so that the energy of completeness can attract fullness into your being.
You know, I enjoy having to find the meaning of the entire eye opener. But this one, it took me over. Because when we affirm that we are fulfilled rather than deficient, we are asserting that contentment is a natural way of being. I don't really get exactly where it's coming from for the time being, but at the same time, I do understand parts of it. To meet your needs and to achieve your desire, you need then only banish all thoughts of emptiness. And when I hear that, it put me in a state of mind whereby I must be relaxed, or I need to learn to relax and find exactly what I'm looking for within myself and try to have deep thoughts and see if I have reached to exactly where I want to go. This one did a thing or two to me.
Yeah, well, I think the language is a bit different, but I think that the core of it is really, and it's what the opening spoke about. It's looking at several things, I think, and being able to remind us that we do have the power of mind control. That doesn't feel that way sometimes.
Yeah,
in fact,
it doesn't.
I know right now we feel very powerless in the situation that we're in, and of course preparing for the state of emergency, but there's so much that you have in terms of how you view things. A lot of times you talk about, you hear people talk about reframing your perspective, talking about, I can look at something and say, man, I'm gonna be locked up at home for 30 days.
Wow.
Or I get to have 30 days with my spouse and my children. I can tackle all the projects at home that I've always wanted to do. You know those things that you say, one of these days I'm gonna take some time off and fix the cupboards, or I'm going to plant something in the yard. You have that time. You have to see the gift that you have in the present. You have health. We're still not in a crisis situation with COVID-19 as we're seeing in other parts of the world. And we have to be able to reframe and refocus. And also, the feeling of powerlessness in being confined can also be seen as empowering. Who doesn't want to be a hero? And your hero status literally comes from doing nothing.
Right? No.
Home.
Yes.
And I know that it's hard to shift to that perspective. But when you do, it's going to make you feel a whole lot better. And I feel that when we talk about in the core of the eye opener, that's what it's getting at. What are you affirming in yourself, and what do you want to feel versus all the negative things that you may be focusing on?
So right. I'll tell you what. There's so many things we could do right now as we speak. And I think about gardening. I think about doing your own workout in your home. Online classes. There's so many things you could do. So try them today and be a superhero for your country.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
We're going to keep things moving this morning. And, well, of course, we do want to discuss that we are the last day before the start of the state of emergency. It starts tonight at midnight, which means that all the regulations will be finalized today. We still have not received the official document to tell you what's listed as essential services, what the specifics of it is as yet. Although yesterday at the press conference, it did go through quite a bit of it. But I know quite a few people have been asking about what's essential, what's not essential, and we'll get that. We were told by the morning today, so we will have that for you, but we don't have it at this time. Nonetheless, we will still be having the conversation about what the state of emergency will entail and how it will be enforced. Of course, the Belize Police Department are going to be on the front line for this. They're going to be the ones ensuring that you do stay home, that you do have a proper reason to be moving around in any part of the country. And so we're going to have Commissioner Chester Williams in to have that conversation with us to start us off.
Definitely, that's going to be our first conversation, but it more so for me pushes me to tell you that this is your time to be the superhero. What we'll be having is these folks coming in to tell us exactly what we need to do. The time, Belize, is now. In our second conversation for this morning, we'll be having representatives on COVID-19 and agriculture and food security. So we'll be having the CEO in to tell us all about that, what we must do, what we've got lined up, and how we could be self-sustained when it comes to agriculture.
And the third part of our show, we're going to be joined by our friends from Grace Kennedy Limited. And normally they're cooking up a storm for us, but this time they're going to help us with our shopping plans. So what are some of the essentials that you can get right at Grace that you will need over the next 30 days? Things from cleaners to food items and whatever else in between. They're going to give us the full scoop in the final part
Looking
of the show.
forward to that. And I'll tell you what, we've got it new on the line, and I'm looking forward to this one. Oye presents Kids Time, and it's all sponsored by J&W. You know, I was looking at the show and I heard about it and I said, I wonder what it is. But Kids Time, it is time for you, and this is a beautiful time to sit them in front of the television and let them enjoy Kids Time, sponsored by J&W Shopping Mall.
That's right. That's what we're going to be closing off the show with for today.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and get to our break.
Yeah.
But before we do, you didn't think I forget, right? It's April 1st. Everybody knows what
Yes.
days that is.
Yeah, it's the start of the fiscal year.
It's April Fool's Day, right? And so I guess, well, John, the joke has always been on you because April
I
Fool's
know,
Day
right?
is your birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes.
See, you thinking I forgot was actually the joke there. There you go.
So you did it for
And he
spite.
was being so quiet, like, "Yeah, I'm good this morning.
But
I'm
everything
good."
is good.
Waiting for us to say happy birthday. We didn't forget. It's your turn. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
We hope you, and as a present, you get 30 days at home with your
I
family.
know, and I love that present,
And you're
right?
such a family man. I know you appreciate that. We're
All right,
wishing you
thank
all
you,
the best
thank
from all
you.
of us here at Channel 5 and, of course, our team here at Open Your Eyes.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and take a break now. When we come back, it'll be for our COVID-19 update for today.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're now venturing off into our first segment for the morning. It's actually a COVID-19 update is what we're doing, and the update comes in the lines of having the Commissioner of Police in with us on the quarantine measures enforced, that is being enforced. The Compol is in with us, Chester Williams. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And I tell you what, it's nice.
Yes.
It's nice to have you in, sir.
Yes. Yeah.
So, this is definitely one to hit home. One of the things that we spoke about this morning, and Marlene said it perfectly, that this is our time to be heroes. This is when we will see how close the relationship with the Belize Police Department and the public at large, because the public is being told that from this time to this time, you need to be in your home, and from this time to this time, if you are an essential worker, you need to be at work. Sir, once again, good morning, and let's venture off there. What does this mean for our country? What does it mean to have a state of emergency? What is that?
Well, basically, the state of emergency would start with the Prime Minister advising the Governor General to declare a state of emergency based on Section 18 of the Belize Constitution, which provides 3 different circumstances under which a state of emergency can be declared.
Okay.
1 will be in a state of war. We're not in a state of war. 2, if there is some situation that is threatening the public safety, as the case may be. And then the 3rd one would be like what we had done recently with the gangs that had gone to prison. And the AG ministry then draft the proclamation that goes to the Governor General for his signature. And with the proclamation will come the regulations. The regulations are going to outline what powers will be given to the security forces in order to ensure that the objectives of the state of emergency is achieved. And so we are still awaiting the regulation. I believe it was completed, drafted yesterday, and should be signed today by the Governor General, because you would know that it also needs to be gazetted in order for it to become law. And so the final process or processes is being done now today with a view to ensure that come midnight tonight we're on good legal footing to be able to proceed on with the state of emergency.
Which is why the information today is so important. And the three elements of the state of emergency that we need to understand and have the public understand as best as possible. 1 is the curfew, 2 is the list of essential workers, and 3 would be the allowment for movement during the time, during the day, what people can be allowed to go out and do. So let's start off first with the one that seems to be the strictest, the curfew time.
Well, the curfew will be from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And it is expected that no one except for essential workers who will be in the course of their employment should be out on the streets.
And course of employment means they're out doing their job or going to work.
Between those particular times. And those are persons like police, the military, medical workers, maybe the man who services the ATM from the banks, BL linesman might need to come out to fix some blackout situation. And with that, when it comes to those persons, other than the security forces, they'll need to have a pass. Right? So what is being done is that the businesses in respective districts are hereby advised to submit the list of those persons they expect will be out during the curfew hours to the officer commanding that district. Then the officer commanding that district is going to send those names to me, providing that they are vetted first, because we want to ensure that they're not putting anybody's name on the list. We need to ensure that whoever appears on the list do work at that establishment and do provide such service. Once that list is sent to me and it is properly vetted, we then prepare the pass, and then this pass will be signed by the Minister of National Security. And then the pass will be sent back to the respective district for distribution to those business establishments who had applied. But again, in terms of the curfew hours, it is critical for everybody to remain at home.
Yes.
And do not come out unless there's a need for you to come out that you'll be able to justify. Again, any ordinary person may be allowed to come out, providing that it is an emergency situation. Maybe you have someone at home who is ill. You might need to rush that person to the hospital.
Yes.
So that again will be permissible because it's an emergency situation. But outside of that, then we do not expect that people are going to be out on the streets, and we are hoping, as you have said, that the public is going to adhere to the instructions and do all they can in order to ensure that we achieve the spirit of a state of emergency.
Will these be on a checkpoint basis, or the police force will be circling the streets
Yes.
of every municipality?
We'll be patrolling the streets of the municipalities, and in some areas we'll be having members of the military with us. But again, that is not to
Cause an alarm.
show force that we want to be brutal.
Yeah.
We want to be able to execute this with as least force as necessary, or none at all. And that will be dependent on how the public reacts to the state of emergency, whether or not they're going to abide or not. Because you would know that we must do what needs to be done as the security forces to ensure that the spirit is achieved.
Of course.
I have said to my officers that the role that we play is very, very important in order to stop the spread of the virus.
Yes.
If we fail at what we're doing, then the virus will spread and get out of control.
Yes.
So containment is very important, and we have a task to ensure that there is containment by virtue of disallowing people from being on the street, interacting with each other, and then have the virus pass from person to person. So we must do all we can with a view to ensure we keep our people and country safe.
Now, one of the quarantine regulations under the previous quarantine orders also spoke of no groups larger than 10 unless you live in the same household. Is that also something that will be continue to be enforced?
Yes. Under the regulation, it will have that no person shall gather in groups of 10 in any private or public space.
Okay.
Then it goes on to say, providing that in a private setting, if you can gather in groups of 10 or more, providing though that all those persons are from that household. If
So you
there's-
live there?
Yes. If there's one person within that group who is not from that household, then you will be in violation.
How do you determine that?
Well, you ask questions. And then, in terms of the public, now you must not be in groups of 10 or more. And if you're in groups of 10 or less, you must ensure you maintain the social distance.
Yes.
So even though you may be in groups of maybe 9 or maybe 2, and you're not maintaining social distance, then you're in violation.
So you mean if you see two people hugging up the lighthouse, you can break them up?
Yes,
I'm just thinking.
they can go and hug up home.
But going back to it though, have you been getting reports? Because sometimes we see posts online where people are talking about they're seeing a gathering next door, they're seeing people hosting barbecues or a get together at their home. So they feel that they're at home, so they're safe. Do you
Well,
get reports like these, and
Yes.
how do people make reports?
Yeah, we do get calls about gatherings at homes, and we do respond, and we appreciate the calls.
Of course.
Some of them, when they do respond, they are family members. They're socializing among themselves, and that is okay. If it is that we find someone within the gathering who is not from there, then we would tell that person to leave, and then we warn the crowd.
Okay.
But again, I have said to my officers, we have done enough warning. By now, people should be able to understand what the law is.
Yeah.
And we need to now progress beyond warning. And that's the reason why you have seen we have made a number of arrests in terms of persons who have acted in violation of the law. And we're going to continue to do that.
From what you've been enforcing so far, in terms of the municipalities, who's been the hardest? I'd imagine Belize City, given the population density. But talk to us about what's happening in other municipalities.
I think Dangriga is the most challenging.
Okay.
And I guess it has a lot to do with the culture.
Yeah.
You'll find that people still want to have wakes. Even when it comes to funerals, they still want to have large gathering. And they have an affinity for the beach, right? They want to be on the beaches, and so we have some really challenging time in Dangriga, and we're hoping that moving forward we'll be able to see less and less of that occurring. And again, the people of Dangriga have been very cooperative in terms of giving us information when they see it occurring, because not everybody agree with it or want to see it happen.
Yeah.
So people who are concerned, they normally give us information and we respond and do what we need to do.
How
But
do people contact the department? I mean, is it
for
through
now-
the tips line? You just call
For now, we
your-
advise them to call the local police station number.
Okay.
Okay.
But again, I guess I am the hotline because everything comes to me. And so I'm overwhelmed with information from all over the country on WhatsApp, Facebook, text messages, every kind of way they could reach me. I am getting this information. And when I do get them, I try not to ignore, I try to respond to people. And I would normally take the information, post it on our COVID-19 response blog for the respective area to deal with it. Then I get the feedback from them and I provide feedback to the persons who would give the information. So it's a lot.
So the most strictest time, as I mentioned, is the 8 p.m. to 5
5
a.m.
Yes.
And I know there were some questions posed yesterday where the Attorney General spoke of, well, we'll consider or we'll look into things along those lines. From, I know the cyclists are asking if they can still go out and ride. Other people who may feel that they have to get to their farms or need to commute, things along those lines.
Yes, and I do agree with what the Prime Minister said, that we cannot classify every business as essential, because then we'll be defeating the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. And so in terms of those establishments that are deemed essential, we have to, as best as we can, curtail it. But at the same time, too, we must ensure it is done in a way that we do not cut off the supply chain for people, because people still need to survive. And so it is with that spirit that some consideration has been given to certain establishments. But again, cycling, riding a bike is not essential. Going to your farm, we need the supply chain to continue. And so you can go to your farm. But with hope that you'll do that between the non-curfew hours, which is from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll be able to achieve all of that during that time. And so we have to, as best as we can, ensure that those places that are non-essential, that they remain non-essential. We cannot bring them into the realm of essential.
All of a sudden,
Yeah,
just
you understand me? So,
Yeah.
I think one of the and I want to step back a little, because I think this is where we might find some problem. It's not clear to a lot of people, because we're brothers. We're going to a store to get something. We might not, because we feel close to each other, we might not adhere to the 3 feet or more. You'll find arguments there. How do we plan to quell this? Because I want for it to be as clear as possible and on record, so people could understand, because you hear it a lot.
I would expect, and I do understand a situation like that, because you would have come from the same household.
Yes.
You're going back to the same household. You'll be together in the same household near each other. And so I could understand that, but we still want to ask that when you're out in public, please maintain the distance, the required distance between each other, right? I'm sure that if you were to be charged and you go to court and you explain to the magistrate that you're from the same household, you were working together, there may be some leniency, but that does not mean that you do not breach the law, because the law says being out in public and not maintaining the social distance.
Yes.
So the fact that you're out in public, whether you are boyfriend and girlfriend, wife or husband, brother and sister, you have to maintain a social distance.
So let me go back to the other portions of the day. So there's a list of essential services that we're yet to see. There's a traditional list of essential services, but now it's been expanded for this particular time. And so you can understand that people have a lot of questions about who can go out and work between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. and who cannot. No, it's the other way, 5 a.m. till 8 p.m. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, the AG went through the list yesterday, and as he said, the list will still be looked at in terms of finalizing who will be classified as essential workers. But you have those, the essential workers, and you have non-essential workers who are now being brought into the fray. And let's look at, for example, the fire service, medical, police, military,
Yes. Utilities.
utilities, the port. Those are essential workers because the gangs at the port
Yeah.
do work sometimes until late hours, discharging barges or ships. Now, you have, for example, now stores and supermarkets, gas stations, mechanic shops,
Hardware stores.
hardware stores. These are things that people need to be able to ensure that they continue the necessities of life.
Of course.
And so with that, they are brought into the fray. But even though you have been brought into the fray of being an essential establishment for now, it is not a carte blanche that you can just move around how you want. The persons who work at those establishments will only be allowed to be on the streets when you're going to work or leaving work. They cannot be wandering around. Or maybe if they're doing something
An errand
in
related to
line
work.
with the employment that they're engaged in, then they'll be allowed. So it is not to say that, you know, because you work at these places, you'll be able to roam around as you feel like. That is not going to be the case. And the police is going to stop you. The police are going to question you. And I would hope that patience is exercised and people don't look at it and say the police is harassing me and why they want to know where I'm going and this, that. We have an objective to achieve and we must do what we can to achieve that objective, and we hope that the wider public work with us to achieve that objective.
You know, during the curfew time, passes are expected. During the daytime,
Yes.
are passes expected as well?
During the day, no, but we're still going to question you because we want to
So
ensure.
is it good to have an employee
Yes.
ID at least?
Yes. So that when the police question you, you're going to work, you can show your ID.
Yeah.
I'm going to work.
But you know,
Or a letter of employment
Yeah.
would
Yes,
also
something
work.
that would be
Sure.
perfect, especially at the start. But I must say, this is where it works for both of us in terms of the approach, because this is where a lot of the flare-up happens. In terms of how the police question you, they want to know my business, yes, but then they ask me in a good way. So, and that's where I wanted to ask you, because how are we going to enforce this, especially to those that we meet outside? Is it going to be, boy, where you going?
Well, we
Or
have
sir, or
no.
because this is where we always
Yeah.
see things flaring up.
We have explained to our officers that respect is very important, and not just because we have certain powers under the law means that we must abuse, or means that we must look at people as being inferior. We still need to ensure that we maintain respect for each other, and so the approach of the police is critical.
Yeah.
To have police officers calling a person who is their elder boy or girl is totally unacceptable. And even if they're not your elder, you have to respect people.
Respect.
And so we don't expect that our officers are going to be harsh on people or disrespecting people in that respect, calling them boy or girl. Sir, ma'am, may I have a word with you? You know that at this time you cannot move around. Can I know where you're going? What are you going to do? And if the person give an explanation that is reasonable and falls within the scope of persons who can move around, then by all means, then allow the person to go about their business.
You know, allow me to find out more about this particular situation, because there's quite a bit of discretionary power that will be placed on your individual officers.
Yeah.
And you are very well aware that they will act based on their own personalities or experience on the ground. What has been communicated to them? Has there been a specific protocol or a discussion as to how you will approach and what type of answers will be accepted versus taking action?
Yes, the commanders have been spoken to, and you know, at a time like this, I cannot meet with all the police.
Yes.
You know, so I would communicate through the commanders on the ground, and they are then tasked to ensure that the information trickles down to those persons who work under their command.
Yeah.
And I have always been harping to them that respect goes both ways.
Yes.
And even if it is that the person that you approach is being disrespectful, that does not mean that you have to go to that person's level.
Yeah.
You can still maintain proper decorum And you would find that with time, the person who may be disrespectful may look at him or herself and say, but you know what, I am the fool here.
Yeah.
Because here I am going off at the police, and the police just maintain his cool. You know, so we have to ensure that there is that level of professionalism, and that is going to be essential in order to get the support of the public.
Yeah.
I know, being out there speaking to people, for the most part, people do agree that we need a state of emergency. So I do not anticipate that we're going to have widespread opposition to what is being done. So I think that going through the 30 days should be good for us.
I'm grateful that you spoke of the professionalism, and that's one aspect, but it's also in the reasons that people may give for being out. Because while we talked about essential workers or new essential workers who will be allowed to get to work, maybe do an errand for work and go back, there's also the possibility for everyday citizens to go out and carry out necessary
to
function.
Shop, to go to the doctor,
banking,
to go to the bank. Yeah, there's several things that they can do. So we are working on a list of things.
Can you go visit family?
No.
No, I mean, this is why it's necessary. If I say I'm going to go am I going to go pick up food from my mother?
No, cook at home. I know some can cook, but I hope you don't fall in that category, Marlene.
Now I will starve. But no, you have a number of reasons that I'm going to go take my child to the babysitter. I'm going to go take my child to the babysitter.
Well, if it is that you work, and maybe there may be a single mother who is an essential worker. She needs to go to work. The child cannot go with her. Common sense should prevail.
No, I agree.
The child will have to go to the babysitter.
But there's a lot that people don't know, and we have to understand. So we talked about moving. You can be going home from work, picking up something if you forget it, maybe. But these are the types of situations that your officers will be confronted with, and will have to make a judgment call. You know, is this person just giving me bull to get out because they have cabin fever? Or is this a legitimate reason? And so the terms as to which your officers will work under will be most important.
It is going to be, and the truth is it is going to be frustrating.
It is.
And I would just hope that the officers will be able to manage the frustration and stress that is going to come with it. Because sometimes people tend to look at the police as if we are non-humans. They don't expect that sometimes we ourselves are overwhelmed with situations, and it might cause you to react in a certain way towards people that you would not normally do. And people will look at it and say, oh, the police can't bad at me. You know, sometimes I do it. And sometimes I have to call back people and tell them, you know what, sorry. But that was not my intention. You know, that's how it goes sometimes.
We do understand, and the country should understand, that this is a national emergency for the entire country. We've got over 200 villages across this country as well. And I'm so glad that you're here to answer these questions, because afterwards you don't want for people to say, I never know. So will your force be in every village across this country?
Yes, we will ensure that we visit every corner of the country where people reside. In order for us to achieve our end state, we must do what needs to be done. And so we'll do that. We'll be complemented with some BDF so that we can stretch our resources as best as we can. Officers who are on short leave have been recalled back to duty. And we're trying as best as we can to do this without putting too much strain on the officers. So we still maintain our shift rotation.
So the shift rotations have not changed?
No. We maintain that our officers get the 2 days off, and we try to keep them that way. To cut days off and change shift rotation may cause some inconvenience to officers. We know they need to go home to their families after a hard day's work.
Of course.
So we're trying as best as we can to not go into too much things that will cause undue strain on them.
Well, I mean, this was my question, because it does take a lot of manpower. While you're expecting the streets to be empty, the only way to be sure of it is if you're out there checking. So it requires a substantial amount of from trucks to be able to move around, your motorcycles,
bicycles,
whether it's foot patrol, and of course, most importantly, the people. how have you been able to get sufficient people to be able to ensure that across the country everyone's adhering to the regulations?
Well, we have the officers who would normally work in the offices 8 to 5. They have now been placed into the relief system
Okay.
to be able to boost the relief and have more manpower.
Yeah.
And that has helped us. Then the additional BDF that will come
Okay.
will also give us more manpower. So with that, we can continue our current shift rotation, giving our officers a 2 days off so that they can go home to their families and spend time with them as well. If it is that we have the officers just working and no time for themselves, no time for their families, then they are going to get frustrated. They may report sick and different things.
Yeah.
So we have to ensure we keep the morale of the officers up.
So 2 concerns come to mind. One, a lot of your officers do commute, and we know the issues with public
Yes.
transportation. What's happening in that front?
Well, the main issue we're looking at is the officers who have to come to work at night time. What we
But
have
even
done-
during the day, the schedule
Yes.
has changed. I mean, has been
Yes.
reduced significantly.
What we have done is that we have a bus that we have that we're using currently, and that bus brings the officers from the west who works in the night, and take home those who come off at night, so that there is no hitchhiking.
Yeah.
We have a contract with a bus company in Orange Walk that ferries the officers from Belize City to the north, and again, for those officers they pay, I think, a reduced price. The one for the west, it is no payment because the bus currently is being used by the government. And so we provide the fuel, we provide a driver, and so there is no need to pay. In the month of April, hopefully early April, we're going to get the bus that we have paid for long ago. When we do get that bus will be assigned to the west. And then the loaner we have in the west right now, the owner have said to me that if it is that we want to continue to use it, he'll allow us to use it until this is over. So I'll then take the bus we have in the west and put that in the north, so that we can have officers in the north and west coming to work free of cost. Now,
I'm
we
not
do-
worrying about a bus
yes,
schedule.
Exactly. We do encourage our officers, though, that in time like this, if it is that you can move to Belize City, find a place to stay while you're working, then you can do that.
Yeah.
When you go on the afternoon, you go home. So with that way you reduce the amount of traveling that you will have.
But
And
that's an added cost. That's rent.
yes, no, but what we have done as well, we have places that we have given them to stay.
Okay.
A friend had given me 2 houses that I have given to the officers in Belize that they can use. We also have the police canteen where the canteen used to be, or even the training room. We can put beds there for them to be able to stay.
Yeah.
So there are things that we're trying to do for them that they can stay here without a cost. And some of them are taking advantage of it, but we know that we'll not be able to accommodate all of them. So we still understand that there'll be some who will have to commute.
Yeah.
And we try to make provision for those.
Okay, so that was the first question in terms of transportation. The second is protective gear. We don't know who carries the virus,
Yes.
and
Yes.
your officers are frontline personnel.
Yes, and I have said that as much as everybody say the healthcare workers, the police officers are more
Yes.
exposed than the healthcare workers. And it is important that while we ask them to do a certain job, that we provide the PPEs for them, that they need to perform the relevant job. Yes, we don't need the type that the doctors use.
No.
We need the more simpler ones, the masks, the gloves, and we have done our best to procure those for our officers. So through the government of Belize, we have purchased some. We have received some on donations, and we have some that is in procurement. We're awaiting them to come in. But we try as best as we can to ensure that the officers have the gloves and the masks. Now,
And
we
they've been
know-
taught how to use it properly?
Yes, we
Okay.
know the protocol or the advice given by our Ministry of Health, and even I am a person, I watch the CDC a lot, and I also watch WHO.
WHO.
What is being said. That is where I get my information from, along with Dr. Manza. And what they're saying is that the mask is not something that you must wear right
Yeah.
throughout the day.
No, it has to be changed.
But police officers have that sense of security that they need to wear the mask. And that is how they feel safe.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take that away from them. If it is that they want to wear it, then they wear it. And we do as best as we can to provide for them. And so,
So if they want it,
yes,
it is there.
it is there, yes.
Yeah.
But we still give them.
Yeah.
Now, when officers go to postmortem, Now they have to dress like the doctors. So we also have those PPEs as well for postmortems. Because we want to ensure when our officers go to these postmortem that they're well protected.
Yeah,
So
of course.
we get the full brigade for them for postmortem purposes, or when they respond to any situation of a sudden death, right? So to ensure that they can protect themselves when dealing with dead persons.
Well, Kumpal, you know, the reality of this thing is that, especially for the start, it's going to be hard.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of people who will not be adhering to it. Space in every municipality to house these people that you may pick in, and for them to be safe. How are we going to deal with that? Because there might be overcrowding. How are we going to deal with
Overcrowding in terms of
this? In terms of
detained?
Detainment.
Yes, detainment.
Well, I am hoping, Jan, that we don't have to reach that stage. For me, this is not about locking down people. This is more about people understanding the nature of what is happening
Yes.
and comply. And I want to believe that, for the most part, my Belizean people are going to adhere. There may be a few who may not adhere, and those persons will be dealt with. Because we have to ensure that what needs to be done is done.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're going to have a challenge in terms of knowing where to put them. The good thing is that the other type of, the criminal nature of society is currently calm. And so the cell blocks are available for persons who breach the curfew law, persons who breach the quarantine law, and the social distance, as well as the business places that fail to adhere to the requirements as stipulated in the regulation.
Excellent.
Now, that's a valid point. I think if you get to the point of detainment, but I mean, what is your course of order in terms of enforcing? Is it warning people, sending them home, a sense of kind of getting them to adjust in the beginning, and a second offense gets them detained?
Well, I have said we have surpassed the warning stage, and we are now arresting people. Over the 24 hours, we have a few arrests again.
What's the
But
potential
what
penalty?
we do, well, they have those who pled guilty in Punta Gorda, and they were charged $1,000 each. But again, going to the issue of keeping people in custody, my directive to the officers is that you bring the person, you charge, and give bail right away. So we don't keep you in custody.
Yeah.
Right? If it is that you are a second offender, then we're going to keep you in custody.
Clear enough.
Yes.
So you're not issuing any warning to anyone
No.
at this point in
At
time?
this time, no.
Warning has been levied.
Yeah.
Now, we saw in San Pedro where they've had the first example of 1 week of state of emergency before us. And there were people moving around, and I think perhaps the most concerning photo was the people standing in line to buy Bolido on a Sunday. Now, grocery stores are listed as one of the places that may be open, which leaves many to assume that the Bolido and the gaming institutions will keep running. What's going to happen on Sunday when people want to go buy their number?
Well, if the government says that Bolido can continue to play, it means that you can go and buy Bolido. It's just that when you're there, you have
So
to
it's
ensure.
a valid reason to go out on a Sunday and the police stops me and I say, I'm going to go buy Bolido.
If the Bolido shop is open,
They said grocery store. They haven't clarified things like
Gaming or
Bolido.
whatever, yes.
yeah. Well, I would hope that they would put a ban on gaming. If there's no ban on gaming, then
Well, the casinos are closed, the bars are closed, all of these other things are closed.
yeah. And I think I heard an announcement last night that the drawing is now going to be at 7.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I heard
It's at
last
7?
night. Yes.
Okay.
So which
So
means
it's earlier.
that they're still operating. So
Well, we've not had a clear directive,
Yeah.
and that's why we need to see the regulations to know
Yeah.
for sure. Because how many people will tell you on a Sunday that they're going to go buy
Yeah.
Bolido? And
I do agree, man. I'll have that talk with the AG.
Okay.
I'm going to buy
And maybe we can
chicken.
make some adjustment there. Yeah.
so, going back to the point that people can go out and do essential things like banking, supermarket, medical visit, buying lottery. These are essentials.
Let's hope buying lottery will be
that's
out.
the case,
So-
if that's the case, what am I expected? Is it a simple conversation when I go out and the police stops me and I say, I just want to run to the supermarket to pick up some things to cook?
Yes.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
simple conversation.
The police might say, you have money? Because people might say,
Well,
I'm
no,
going to
you
a
know
shop.
people might
Yeah.
try to do all kinds
And
of
so
things.
the police might request some proof that you're going to buy. So, and again, they won't be abusing their powers. They're just ensuring that you're out for the reason for which you're saying you're out.
Yeah.
Right, so,
So anytime between 5 a.m. to like 7 a.m., you can't go jog.
no, just to clear it.
Poor John.
I know.
It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
Thank
You were born on a good day.
And talk about us about some of the other areas of where there's uncertainty. Food vendors, for example,
Yeah.
on the street sides.
That's a no-no.
That's a no.
Yep.
Even if they're doing deliveries or just pick-up orders? Because technically, your tacos that pick up.
Because the regulation is saying restaurants
Yeah.
for delivery service only.
Okay.
A food vendor is not a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a very ticklish situation.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I cannot give a clear answer on that right now. I would want to think, though, that if it is that you have a food vendor who is cooking at home and persons want to go and pick up the food from there, that it should be no difficulty. It's just like going to a restaurant and pick up food, I would want to think. But I will have to have that discussion with the AG and see how that is going to play out. But again, we have to ensure that with whatever we do is done in a way that we can limit the amount of persons on the streets.
And also across the board,
Yeah.
because what you may be enforcing here in Belize City may not be enforced in Orange Walk, for example,
No, it's
or in
across the
Punta
board.
Gorda.
It's across
I
the board.
agree, but maybe your PG officers are saying to the one tacos vendor, yes, you can sell,
Then
and
if-
then in Belize City we're saying
If
no.
I get the whims of that, then
Yeah.
I'm sorry for him.
No, I'm not saying that they're breaking your orders. What I'm
No,
saying
they're
is
being.
that when there is
They're
this
not breaking my
gray
orders, they're
area
breaking the law.
of whether a food, well, it could be rice and beans, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
tacos.
Yeah.
Whether the rice and beans stall can go out and sell or not, because we don't know if it's a restaurant or it falls under food service. That's where we really have to be as clear as
I
possible.
am going to punish Marlene because I depend on my tacos, but that's how it goes.
Well, it might be a good thing because we're not allowed to exercise, and, which is actually advice from the medical professionals to keep you sane during this time. But coming back with all serious, because it is very new for us,
Yeah,
and we
it
want to
is.
be as clear as possible. So we spoke of some of the street side vendors. I know we've gotten quite a few questions coming in. Construction workers are asking they have to
Yes,
leave early.
they can go to work.
So if they leave before that 5 a.m. hour, because some of them do have
they
to
must
commute.
leave at 5 a.m.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you communicating with the public transportation system if they're leaving after these hours?
That is a discussion that is being had at this
Yeah.
time, yes.
Yeah.
Because let me give you an example. If I have to catch the bus at 5 a.m., I have to
get
be
here
at the
for-
bus stop before 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that is be understood.
Yeah, it
Person
goes
going
back
to
to
get your
those
bus.
discretionary
Yeah.
powers that we're talking about.
Yes.
What other gray areas do you think that we need to really be able to clarify for people?
Well, I think that we have covered most of it. The other issue that I think we need to cover is the issue as it pertains to the spreading of false rumors, which has become common.
Yeah.
And the disobeying of the quarantine order. If it is that a person is under quarantine, we expect that that person is going to isolate him or herself.
Yes.
Do not come into contact with nobody until your quarantine period is over.
Yes.
And I have said that we need to enforce the quarantine law, that if anybody act in violation thereof, that those persons be prosecuted so that others do not make a mockery of the
Yes.
system.
Yes.
When you have a person who is under quarantine and a person continues to move around, then that person endangers the wider public.
Yes.
And we don't want that to occur.
Is there a communication between you and the Ministry of Health? If there's someone who enters the country and they've been told to self-isolate before this mandatory period that started this week, is that list handed over to the police?
At this time, no. And I have discussed with Mr. Manzanero, the doctor, and I've said to him that I would like for us to be informed. And not just to be able to monitor, but also for the safety of our officers.
Of course.
Because we go to do searches at homes, and we don't want that our officers go and do search at a home where there's someone being quarantined, and then our officers are exposed, like what happened yesterday. We went and conduct searches at 2 houses, and those 2 houses, we happened to come across persons who were on quarantine.
Wow.
Right? And that is how we get to know of
Hosting get-togethers, right?
Yeah, and in
So
one
clearly,
case,
when we think people understand
Yes.
how this works,
Yes.
it's not the case.
in one case, one of the person was socializing with others, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And came back from the epicenter
Yes.
in the
Right?
U.S.
So we're looking at that particular case. We're trying to get certain information from the Ministry of Health in terms of when he came in, who gave him the order to quarantine, and once we get those reduced in writing, then we're going to charge him because he should ensure that he comply with the quarantine requirements.
Yeah.
Right? And if it is that, even if it is his girlfriend or his child, they are not to come into contact with him.
For 14 days.
Yes. You know, so we're looking at that particular case.
So if I know that my neighbor is in a quarantine and I see them moving around, I can call the
Yes,
police
we
and
get a
say,
lot of calls.
this is
Yes.
happening.
We get a lot of calls with that. Lot.
Okay.
As people are concerned.
Yeah.
Of
You know,
course.
so when they see you, they call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get those calls. Yeah. But like I said, I would wish that we do get this. And I could understand the medical perspective. You don't want it in the wider public.
Yeah.
But at least the police, and not every police, certain police officers should know.
Yeah.
So that we'll be able to put things in place to be able to monitor. And I noticed on social media, some were saying, but why the police are monitor quarantine people? That is a minor thing. They need to be. That is the most essential thing.
Yeah.
If you don't monitor those persons who are in quarantine, if we have seen that the two of the three cases we have had are persons who came into the country and were supposed to be on quarantine.
Yeah.
And we have seen in San Pedro where one of them failed to adhere and then later on infected her mother.
Yeah.
You know, so if it is that we want to deal with the issue, then ensuring that there is compliance with the quarantine requirements
Yeah.
is very, very essential.
Yeah. And there are a number of people under quarantine, so I do agree.
Yes.
You should have that list and perhaps in your patrols ensure that
Yeah.
nothing is happening there. So we've gotten, you know, the producers monitoring online, so we've gotten some specifics. What about people who maintain yards or gardeners? Are they allowed to work?
No.
Move around and work?
No. You
Domestics?
can clean your own yard.
Domestic services?
Domestic service, if you're at home, you should be able to clean your house.
Okay. The third one, fishermen.
Fishermen is not on the list.
But how will people get the fish?
Well, that's a discussion we might need to have. Like the AG said yesterday, the list is not exhausted. We could start now with what we have, and if
Yeah.
we see that there's a need to make adjustment as we go along, then that will be done. But I do understand the concerns of fishermen.
Of course.
Well,
And
they
as
leave
well as the wider
early.
public, you know that. We
But
need
that's
fish,
an easy
you know,
one to
so,
check
yeah.
because your fishermen should have a
Yes.
fishing license.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There you go.
And they will need fish when the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good Friday come around because
Yeah.
we do have Easter in April. Now the concern I have in looking at just the general safety, there's some people who, we spoke of social distancing, even the police officers, we have seen them crammed in trucks.
Well, I have issued a directive where that is concerned.
Okay.
That only 4 officers must be in the front or in the cab of any police vehicle.
Okay.
2 at the front, 2 at the
At the
back.
back.
That has been issued to them. And they have also been told if they need to cough or sneeze, they must put their head outside, put their elbow and cough or sneeze. So we are doing what we can internally with a view to ensure that we
Yeah.
protect our officers.
And even at checkpoints, because
Yes.
sometimes there's a group that is gathered there.
Yes, at checkpoints, again, I've said to officers that when a vehicle arrives at a checkpoint, you don't take the person's license. Ask the person to hold the license.
Present it to you.
Yes, and you hold it in such a way that you can read
see it, yeah.
if it is expired or not. And if there's no need to hold the license, then don't hold it.
Yeah.
And with that, because we understand the complaints of the public that police wear gloves, touch his license, touch that one. So if one person may have had it, then it goes
And
on
you're
every
passing it
license.
around. Yeah.
So to reduce that now, you hold a license to the police for the police to see. I saw a complaint on social media this morning and I've asked the person to tell me where it was occurring so it could be addressed.
Yeah.
We don't want the officers to be holding the license.
Okay. Just present it to them
Yes,
properly. Okay.
So there are a lot
Yeah.
of gray areas in between just from this conversation. And to be fair, we're having it without the actual document to be able to guide us. So I assume there'll be additional information that we can
And there
share
is
then.
the different government offices that is going to remain open.
Yeah.
And again, those are from 9 to 4 p.m. And again, those government workers will go to work. They will provide service. Internally, we are looking to see how we can skate back a bit on some of the services we're offering. I noticed that in some parts of the world, police have stopped dealing with minor complaints, right? And only deal with major complaints, and all with a view to ensure that there's no too much interaction between the police
the public
and public.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like police records, firearm licensing, we will make some adjustments internally with a view to ensure that we don't expose our officers to the virus.
Great.
So the producer is keeping us up to date with what people are asking online. One is asking about technology companies.
Technology companies, they're not essential, no.
So telecommunication would
Yes.
be the only one that would be
Yes.
listed. The other is asking about whether you will respond because people are at home. There's a lot of loud music being blasted and they want to call the police on issues like that.
I would want to think we're going to respond,
Okay.
right? We know that people may be at home, they need a peace and quietness.
Yeah.
And so we will try as best as we can to respond.
That's a form of
Yeah.
torture, they used to use that to be exposed to loud music. But I want to come back to something very serious. People being confined in a home can be a wonderful experience for many, but you know the situation
Can be a
of domestic
torturing experience for some.
For some too.
But it's also a dangerous situation for many. You know the situation of domestic violence
Yes.
in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a critical situation. I know the agencies that work in this area are concerned that people will be trapped at home with an abuser. Children may be trapped at home with an abuser. What's being done in terms of being able, some of the areas that you normally get called to ensure safety and that we don't have any unnecessary violence or loss of life during this time?
Well, we know that there may be an increase in domestic violence over the period.
Yeah.
And so our domestic violence unit is going to be prepared. Yes, I'm sure that we're not going to be as prepared as we'd want to be, but we'll do our best to ensure that we are. And we're hoping that if it is that there's any abuse, that the person being abused will be able to call, or if the person is not able to, the neighbor hear noise going on, whatever in the house, call us, and we are going to respond, because I know for the most part, the abuser may prevent the person being abused from making any phone calls. So we'll rely on it. I want to ask the neighbors, if you see or hear something unusual in your neighbor house or yard, call us, let us know, and we're going to respond as well.
Excellent.
Are minors allowed to be out at all during the course of the day?
No.
So if you want to
For
send
what?
your child to the shop during the daytime?
But I would hope that they don't send them. There is no law, or the regulation does not include that persons on the street going to the shop cannot be minors. But I would hope that parents are not going to use the children.
Yeah.
The children curfew is in the night time, right? But we'd hope that parents are not going to allow the child to go to the shop or to be out on the streets.
Yeah.
And if it is that the child is found on a street without no purpose, then the parent is going to be dealt with.
Of course. So without a purpose, because there are single mothers out there, they're not able to move. Their eldest child is about 12 years old.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to look and see. But like I said, we need to ensure we do what we can to ensure the spirit of the legislation is achieved. Yeah.
All right, and your final message to people. It is a collective effort that we're all making. We are expected to stay home just to be able to ensure the health and safety of the majority. So we're hoping you don't have a lot of things to respond to, but what's your message to people in the meantime?
Well, I don't want to be as blunt as Dr. Cuellar. But
Seems to be quite catchy, actually.
I
People
do-
like
shirt
it.
actually.
Yeah, I do love his message.
Yes.
And I will associate myself with it for now. But in addition to that, I would like to say to my Belizean people, this is not a matter of us against you. This is a collective effort that we all must engage in. What has been proposed to be done is being done with the best interest of the country of Belize at heart. And while, yes, we the police have the arduous task of ensuring that the spirit of the regulations are achieved, we will not be able to achieve it without your cooperation. And it is in that vein that we are asking to please work with us, adhere to the rules, adhere to the law, do not resist. And if that is done, then we will all be safe at the end of this. Like the Prime Minister and leader of opposition said, if it is that we comply and there is no further spread, then before 30 days we can be out of this.
Yeah.
So we'll stay in this as long as we, the people, allow it to occur. Because if we minimize movement, then we reduce the chance of spreading, and then our country can become COVID-19 free, and then we go back to some normalcy. And that is all I'm asking. I know it is going to be tough on some people, but try bear it out and hold strong, work with the police, work with the health workers, work with the military who will be working with us as well, in order for us to be able to do what needs to be done.
And work with yourself.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much,
And of course, we do hope that you at least put out some information, numbers people need to know, because it's best that they
Yes.
call the local station.
We're working on a hotline.
Okay.
Hopefully between today and tomorrow it will be installed at the EOC. And once that hotline is installed, then we'll be putting the numbers out there that persons can call.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for coming in, Commissioner. We do appreciate
Thank you.
it. And
You're
best
welcome.
of luck.
Thanks.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned. we are back. And we are moving into our second conversation for today. We're keeping you updated on all the important topics as we get into or initiate the state of emergency tomorrow for 30 days to prevent the spread of COVID-19. One of the most important things that I know people have been worried about was food security. And luckily in Belize, we have that. So we're going to be talking this morning with the CEO in the Ministry of Agriculture, Jose Alpuche, and he's joining us via Skype in good social distancing protocol. Good morning.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Belize.
Yeah. I'm sure it's great to not have to drive from Belmopan, right?
I'm telling you, I think this is the new standard going forward.
No, we still like physical beings in here, but we'll accept this for now. But CEO, we appreciate you taking the time to update us on the assessments that have been made in the agricultural sector. So let's just start off with the overview. We've heard it before, but you can give us the breakdown that we in Belize should feel fine that we will have sufficient of our main foods be accessible for the next 6 months.
Yes, we keep on saying that Belize is one of the few countries that's blessed to be food secure in all our basic commodities, and it is showing now in this crisis. A survey was conducted, and we do have, on average, 6 months supply of food either in stock or in the field to be processed. So we're fairly well off, and that's corn, beans, rice, poultry, beef, pork, all the essentials that we would need to feed ourselves during this crisis.
Sugar, what's
Sugar,
that status?
definitely. We have excess sugar, bananas, and the others are a given. Huh?
Okay. Flour?
Flour, that's imported, but from assessments done by the Ministry of Trade, and we're working on this in together. We do have enough of that also.
Okay. So this is one area where we know that our agriculture base is really going to help us get through this crisis.
Yes, both to feed the public and also to bring in some much needed foreign exchange during this real deep crisis that we're facing.
Absolutely.
When you say foreign exchange, it simply means that we can do some exports as well. Is that the case? Are we able to export anything?
Yes, we will have to continue exporting the traditional tree, in particular, citrus, sugar, bananas. And of course, there's other exports into Central America that we foresee going well beyond the 30 days, because this 30 days is only the real critical health containment phase.
Okay.
But beyond this, the impact of COVID-19 will be much longer.
Okay. CEO, what would we say, or what can you tell us what is the biggest concerns right now for our farmers in this COVID-19 situation?
Let me say from the beginning, we set up a stakeholder group in which Minister Hulse and Honorable Abelardo Mai sits. And a very wide cross-section of the stakeholder community, the private sector stakeholder community. And the dialogue has been very, very good because we've managed to work together to try and plot a way forward. The most important thing is the continuity of operations during now the state of emergency that we've been working on quite hard to get all the details in place. Needless to say, there's quite a lot of detailed planning because some of the industries, a few of the processing in particular, actually operate 24/7. The sugar mill, the CPBL, and others. And then we also have some operations that have to begin before the 5 a.m. time slot, such as the spraying for bananas, etc. But we're working very, very closely with the EOC within the CO task force, and also at the operational level, the industry is working with the police to ensure that we eliminate surprises, that we do have a smooth operation. I must say the cooperation we've had so far from the security services, it's been very, very good.
What about ensuring health safety within the agricultural sector? Because in some productions, having proper spacing is near impossible.
Very, very good question. Coming out of that wide working group that I told you we established, we established two smaller groups. One is monitoring to ensure that we maintain sufficient food stocks to meet national demand. And the other one had to do public education and a committee to work on the enhanced health and safety standards. We've had a separate working group specific to the sugar industry, but all the industries have been putting in place the enhanced health and safety regime to ensure that to social distance. I see in the likes of bananas, they've actually put up plastic screens in between workers to ensure that there's no close contact. So there's quite a bit of background work being done to ensure that. Because key to all of this, we have to provide the appropriate environment for the workers. Because if we don't do that, they will not want to come out and things will fall apart.
Yeah, and two, I mean, it would be such a domino effect because sick workers also mean slower production. Because you wouldn't have people to actually go into work. Now, you spoke earlier of the security we have in our food stocks, but what does, we've always been able to meet local consumption. Do you anticipate that there'll be an increase in the demand in Belize, and what's the status in being able to meet the demands locally before exportation?
I don't think, actually, I believe we'll have a fall in demand locally because the tourism, the tourists are not coming.
Valid point.
So our oversupply will increase.
Okay.
The delicate balance is to ensure, because this does not have a precedence, we can't look at statistics and say, well, for this period of time, we expect X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That is why we put in place the monitoring mechanism to ensure that government, the opposition, and the industry stakeholders could monitor this on an ongoing basis to ensure that we do have enough supply, while, of course, giving those the opportunity to export that need to export, because we will have oversupply in a number of commodities.
So what I hear from you is, in this great threat of the pandemic, there's opening up an opportunity in being able to become stronger in our exports, agricultural exports.
Certainly. It's giving us, I think it's giving the entire country a pause for them to reappreciate the value of the farmers and food production. And the fact that while we have imported a lot, it is absolutely essential from a national security standpoint, as we're seeing right now, that we do have a robust agriculture and food production system.
Are we, one of the things that we continue to preach, especially for our country, is that when you buy in Belize, you build Belize. Now, we know that when it comes to fruit and vegetables, there are some vendors who would prefer to import these items. Are we allowing such thing at this particular point?
What will have to happen because of the situation with the border, the importation of fruits and vegetables, which we have to do seasonal. And actually, for some of them, we're coming to that point where we will have to begin importing. It will be coordinated via the Belize Marketing and Development Corporation. And we've given very clear instructions to them that they're to make no profit out of this. It's literally cost plus logistics.
And will this reduce? We know we had quite a bit of contraband coming in. Do you foresee that, especially in vegetables, do you foresee that this will perhaps help us in that area?
I hope so, Marlene. This is one of the biggest challenges on a normal day. And it's an even bigger challenge when our security services and customs and others are stretched fairly thin. But we really need the cooperation of the public in this too.
One of the things that we know could plague our country, especially in the agricultural sector, is the temperatures, the climate, or what we should expect when it comes to our droughts or our rainy season, dry season. What is the agricultural forecast as we speak? Agro forecast.
Well, unfortunately, as you know, we're coming out of a severe drought that impacted production last year. From late last year to earlier this year, we had begun to warn that this year might also be a difficult year.
Yeah.
Actually, later today, I believe, later today, a new AgMet forecast will come out,
Yeah.
which in effect confirms that we will be experiencing drought and normal conditions. Now, it is not a declaration of drought, because drought is the amount of time and the depth of the dry.
Yeah.
But we're putting everybody on notice today that we do expect this. You know, in the discussion with the stakeholders, the first discussion we had with them, one of the requests they made to us was, please ask the public to try and conserve water. We see a whole lot of pop-up pools going up all over the place
Very true.
when the farmers don't have water. Now, I think we really have to ask the public in general to conserve as much water in this period.
Wow. Yeah, and being at home, they'll probably be using more. But it brings to the forefront another issue. When we talked of the drought last year, and there was a forecast that we would most likely have a drought this year as well. There were initial conversations taking place with some of the farmers about being able to move towards irrigation systems, or at least implementing systems that will help them survive through the drought. Have they been able to get that far in execution? And what happens now, especially when the financial issues are so grave that it may not be a good time to invest?
In PM's statement yesterday, he said that in dialogue with the World Bank, they agreed to keep the agricultural loan that we're working on for its intended purpose. And its intended purpose is specifically to look at climate smart agricultural practices and climate adaptation and mitigation. It will take a couple more months for us to complete it. But that will give a direct boost to the farming community as it relates to addressing the issue of climate change and climate variability, because that's what we're being impacted by right now. One one issue that you mentioned, Marlene, is that it's not the time to invest. I think, to the contrary, this is the time for us to invest in agriculture and food production. Mm-hmm. I think we cannot lose this opportunity, because, as I said earlier, it is demonstrating where nationally we see the value of having this, being food self-sufficient in all the basics. Yeah. Actually, in a dialogue we had with CARICOM a couple of weeks ago in planning for this, they see Belize as one of the countries that could ramp up production to help mitigate their food vulnerability. So I think now is the time to invest more, as soon as we can get clarity as to where we're going.
But are farmers seeing the opportunities in the moment?
Very much so. As I said, in dialogue we're having, the stakeholder dialogue we're having, they're trying to retain as much normalcy as possible. Yeah. What people don't understand is that land preparation, and so in some of the large operations, actually operate for almost 24 hours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of work that happens that would normally happen while we're sleeping, in terms of land preparation, etc. But as I said, we have a very good dialogue with the security services to ensure that there's as close to continuity as possible, normal continuity as possible.
So farmers are essential service. That was one of the questions I was posing to the commission. So if they have to be out at 3 a.m. in curfew time, they will be allowed to do so?
Well, we're encouraging those that really don't have to be out. If they have to push it back by half an hour or an hour, please respect the curfew.
Of course.
We're looking at the exceptions because we don't want to overburden the security services all the same. No?
Now, I want to be clear because people may be hearing, we're talking two separate things. We're talking about what will potentially happen with the drought and the food security. But at this time, one does not impact the other. The potential drought we're facing this year has nothing to do with the 6-month guarantee that you're saying that we have in food supply for the country.
You are right. That 6 months is what is actually in stock and it's out in the field that we will harvest before we have the impact, if we have the impact of, a prolonged drought, prolonged dry season.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the 6 months, some folks might be spooked, and I'll tell you why. Because we have no idea how long this COVID-19 situation can be prolonged. Are we an agricultural, sustainable country?
I believe that even with the drought that is or the extended dry that is expected this year, I believe we'll be able to maintain our food security. Keep in mind we're vertically, or some of the essentials are vertically integrated. Sorghum, soy that you don't usually use for human consumption, and a lot of the corn are actually produced for animal feed. That animal feed then goes towards livestock and chicken, for example. Chicken has also virtually integrated themselves, that we import very little, almost no hatching eggs. It's only when we need to change the genetics that it's done. So we're fairly independent in that respect. In terms of the basics. Another element of what we've been looking at in this working group is to ensure that the input suppliers, the Procers, Hurons, Belagros, have enough stock, and we're doing a comprehensive survey. And we're also asking them to tell us what their needed forex outlook looks like, so that they do have enough foreign exchange to import whatever inputs might be required.
Yeah, and then those
we're planning along the entire chain.
Excellent.
So when you're doing your planning and your forecasting right now, I mean, how far are you going? It seems that you've moved beyond that 6 months already.
Yes, the 6 months was more to look at the stock survey, but as you rightly said, nobody knows how long the economic impact will occur. We see what's happening in the U.S. and their still emerging crisis. And we have to look at mitigating those risks as it relates to what we need to import from outside.
CEO, is this also an opportunity to look at some of the diversification that we've also always talked about, investing in new crops or creating new produce?
Definitely, and also too, as you know, we've had a robust school gardening program too, that's been growing leaps and bounds. I think now is the time when we will realize that those kids have a skill that we all need. So we really do need to look at even small backyard gardening, but as it relates to alternative crop, yes. I will tell you, the policy of the ministry, we get a lot of proposals for investment in biofuels and others, and we have consistently said that we prefer to maintain our arable land in food production, because that is what is essential.
You know, and while people are actually, must stay at home, there's so many things that can be done, and people fail to realize that agriculture is actually a fun aspect, because you could do your backyard gardening as well. You being the top man in agriculture, can you tell us some of the crops that can be grown right there at home? I know that there's some high value crops like your sweet pepper or your cucumbers. These things, do you think these things are fairly easy to be grown?
Indeed.
If you have a green thumb. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is true. And the important bit about this is that even in the urban areas, in Belize City, for example, we've been giving out the expended water bottles, for example, that could be converted into pots to grow vegetables even in an urban area.
Okay.
And we have quite a few people doing it, and we need to continue building on that.
Okay, we might have to start a gardening session as a part of our COVID-19 update. But looking beyond this, and I know I've said it before, we're very focused with what's in front of us, which is the health issue, and I think just right behind that, people are seeing the economic issue. But CEO, there was a time where we relied on our agriculture as our main revenue source for this economy. It shifted to tourism, and it was always a bit of a concern because tourism can be fickle. It seems that right now we are seeing just how important it is to be able to have a security in what we're producing in agriculture, but you're not without your threats either. It could be bacteria, it could be a number of other things that impacts you. What are you doing in terms of planning for the ministry to make sure that this is a time where we can see a strengthening of this sector?
Yeah.
That's a very valid point. The likes of Baja will also be declared an essential service because plants and animals, they're organic material and they don't wait on anybody.
Yeah.
So we have to be at the forefront to ensure that we do maintain sanitary and phytosanitary stability. That is a big issue. But yes, we've been building up capacity, especially as it relates to Baja's ability, their laboratory testing, their surveillance mechanism. They've done quite a lot to develop. There's certainly more to go. And as I said earlier, we're looking at the World Bank loan right now, in which we're fairly advanced in that, which have quite a bit of the technology adaptation, soils, agriculture, health, etc., incorporated into that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess are you very optimistic at this point in time?
Well, yes, I am, because this is one of the sector that has to perform. Yeah. It is not a choice of if we want to. So in that respect, I really have to call out to all the workers in the sector to please support the country. It's not support the sector; it's support the country in terms of what we need to get done in the ensuing 30 days and beyond. It is absolutely essential. We have to realize that there will be a significant drop in foreign exchange from tourism.
Yes.
And one of the best ways to help mitigate that is to ensure that we eat what we produce. And quite frankly, in conjunction with the Ministry of Trade, we're looking at some changes to also effect that in place in terms of what is imported in this special period.
So we should.
The other thing I wanted to ask is that for the public in general to support the farmers. We know that markets, the hours are being changed. We're putting in a lot of the enhanced health and safety regulations, rules at the market, but please come out and support your farmers. But while you're doing it, please respect social distancing and the people who are operating the market. Wash your hands here in Belmopan. We have free wash hand stations and everything out at the market right now. And please respect that. Please respect social distancing, because we need continuity, but continuity depends a lot on the cooperation of the public.
So just to be clear, CEO, the markets will be allowed to be open under the state of emergency?
Yes, but with much reduced hours.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning, reminding us once again that we are blessed, that we have the food that we need growing right here. And I hear your call in terms of having all of us to make the choice to support our local farmers. All right? Thank you very much, CEO.
Thank you all very much, and be safe.
You too. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
The Believe
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now moving into a third segment for the morning. Grace Kennedy Belize Limited. They're doing it again. They've got essentials and they've got their folks in to tell us all about it. As a matter of fact, in to tell us all about it, Melanie Koch, who is the Senior Brand Manager at Grace Kennedy Belize Limited, and also Emerson Acosta, who is a brand assistant there as well. Guys, good morning.
Good morning,
and welcome.
John. Good morning,
And we're not
Marlene.
in the kitchen. We moved to the
Yeah,
living room
man.
now to sit and talk.
So what are we going to
Feeds us
do?
now?
We're vacationing in our home. So we moved from the kitchen, now we're in the living room.
No, we're in the living room.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, we know this is actually a day, and I think people are really going to be thinking about what all they need to have in their house so they can minimize movement
That's right.
whatsoever. And so you guys have been putting together ideally what a shopping list can and should have when you're stopping in at Grace to get your products.
That's right, John and Marlene. And it's unfortunate that we're not able to bring the entire warehouse with us. But we tried to bring as much products, you know, that we were able to do this morning.
Yeah.
And if you notice, we have two different categories. We have the food category and we have the cleaning and housekeeping category this morning. So
Okay.
there's quite a number of products down there, and it ranges from canned meat to sauces to beverage, and like I said, we go right back to cleaning our houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, personal hygiene as well. So Grace Kennedy, we have, like I said, I was hoping that I could bring the entire warehouse, but I brought a sample of it today.
You did, you know what I don't see, Mel?
What's that?
No baking stuff.
Which
no
one?
Benjamins, no.
Yes, we didn't. Oh, yes, Emerson, we
Lots
forgot
of
the
people
Benjamin.
are learning how to cook and bake during. I'm just kidding. But
Yes.
this
But it's true. It is the
Are
truth.
you doing any packages? Because the thing about shopping during this time is that we know one emergency mode, and that's hurricane, and that's you know you got to be able to get what can last without refrigeration or without your normal tools. But this is different. Like you can bake and you can cook and you can use your seasoning and whatnot.
That's correct, Marlene. And just to highlight, if you're a typical Belizean, some of us know how to cook, some of us are still struggling in the kitchen. And we're hoping that our cooking show will help those people that are still struggling, right? But the whole idea is that majority of our products are basically pop top.
Yeah.
Which means that you put them in the pantry, and when you're ready to take them out, it's pop the top, and then you make that choice whether you want to warm them up or if you want to eat it straight out of the can.
On the go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, refrigeration is very minimal when it comes to our product.
Yeah.
And season as well is very minimal. So if it's budget constraints and you want to serve the entire family, we have portions as well.
Excellent. Well, you know, I'll tell you what, these products, they go hand in hand in terms of making sure that you sanitize first, then you get into cooking.
That's
Emerson is in with us as well. He needs some money, I can tell you that. He mentioned that he was actually doing his rounds. Emerson, people are out there and they're looking forward to products. What are products that people are actually flocking to?
Well, right now, you know, we're facing the crisis of the virus. You know, in the city, moving from stores to stores, you know, people have their sanitizers, people have their cleaning products. You know, actually, we have our cleaning products here. You know that Lysol, we have our version. You know, the disinfectant, we have the air fresheners. You know, same.
Okay. So this is the air freshener. This is Beep.
Yeah, the Beep air freshener.
And
we
you-
have that, and we have this one here.
What is
This
that?
is another.
Water
a different
lily.
flavor.
Yeah, different.
For the air
different fragrance?
freshener, we have approximately about 10 different flavors.
Okay.
So Marlene is breaking up our products.
You break it, you keep it. Not bad.
Yeah, disinfecting spray.
Yeah.
That is what that is our version of Lysol.
Lysol.
It's Beep.
Okay.
And again, it's scented. A lot of people tend to like it because of the scent. It's not only just disinfectant,
Yeah,
but
it
you
smells
have that
really good.
aroma in your house
Yes,
as well.
so it's a pleasant scent.
Yes.
smells
That
good
we
indeed.
have that
It
one
smells
in,
so good.
Really
in
good.
3 different scents. I'm saying flavors. We have that one in 3 different scents as well. And then maybe I can get up a minute.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can pick them up. Let's
And then
check them
our
out.
beep range, we also have, like I mentioned,
That's the
we
air
have about 10
freshener.
different
Air fresheners.
flavors, scents in the air fresheners.
It's all right.
You cannot eat these. what's the blue and orange one?
The blue,
Those, yeah.
these are air fresheners.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we have them in 2 different designs.
The design
Hey.
and different scents as
Yes,
well.
we have about 10 different scents in these.
Okay.
I really like the smell of this disinfectant
Yeah.
spray.
For me, this one is a go.
Yeah.
We have
It
those,
disinfects
we have
as
the
long
original,
as yeah.
That-
original. We have an original scent to that one.
This
Yes.
is the island breeze.
Breeze.
Yeah,
That's
we have
correct.
the original.
This is, everybody's talking about the new normal where you're you're admiring the smell of your disinfectant
Yeah.
spray because you'll be smelling it so much. Also, a very critical one because some people are working on a minimal budget, and we do want to let them know that you can do everything that disinfectant does and sanitizer does with bleach.
That's correct.
And you have your line
Yes,
of
we
bleach.
also have our line of bleach, which is our springtime line.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's relatively cheap. It's about $3.50 for this half gallon.
Oh, wow.
And to complement that, we also have our springtime in detergent.
Okay.
So this is our smallest size, which is the 200 gram.
Okay.
So we have 200, 400, 1,000, and 4,000. So
Okay.
depending on the size of your family, then you can purchase our springtime.
Yeah.
And again, very economical because this one has in fabric softener in it.
Cool.
Oh, so it's 2 in 1.
It's a 2-in-1.
Yeah.
That's correct. And this, we also have it in bleach, which is, blue, which is like similar to bleach. So rather
Okay.
than buying detergent and Unox or some kind of whitener, you're
Okay.
able to just, again, 2-in-1.
Use the detergent.
That's correct.
So you have half-gallon bleach. You also have the larger bleach.
No, this is the only size that
Okay.
we carry.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we have a smaller bottle, but this is the
Okay.
largest size that we have.
At $3.50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've heard so many health and health professionals come in and talk about just it takes a little bit, like a few tablespoons of bleach to
yeah.
water, and you can clean your house and disinfect your spaces. So
And this size of detergent basically is only about $1 in the stores.
Wow.
In some places, you're able to find it for a little less,
Okay.
but the most you'll find it for is about $1.
Excellent.
and
Yeah.
your disinfecting spray.
That ranges from about $13.50. Some people have it all the way up to about $15.50.
Okay.
But again, it's like a 2-in-1 because
Yeah.
you
It
have a
is.
disinfectant and you also have an air freshener
Yeah.
in it because it's scented.
Yeah.
We also carry dishwashing liquid. We have them both in Ajax and in Palmolive.
Okay.
Again, we have a wide variety of scents. We have, the nice ones that we like to use that has a
Yeah.
little lotion in it and
Yeah.
a little aloe in it that our hands are soft and nice when we're finished.
Yes.
We also have those as well. Personal hygiene, we have Colgate and we have, Colgate. And again, we have a wide variety of
One is
Colgate.
herbal.
Okay.
Yeah, the
herbal
Yeah, there's
original.
a herbal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have triple action, we have whitening, we have herbal, we have a wide range.
Yeah.
So people walk into these stores and they're not realizing that these are actually products that are distributed by Grace Kennedy.
Okay.
So like I said, we do have our whole personal cleaning, hygiene aspect of the business.
paper?
Paper.
Yes. We have this in bleach and we also have them in brown paper as well.
Okay.
So
So that's
One
actually
stop shop.
a really good thing to purchase. And people, we're used to seeing it in public spaces and offices. But right now, in case you didn't get the notice, washing our hands as much as we do, we're advised not to use hand towels
towels,
in the
that's
bathroom.
right.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Now, some of
Yeah.
us have been using paper towels. It's fine, but it can be very expensive.
Yes.
So shifting to something like that in the meantime is really going to help you. What's the cost of one roll?
This one is $3.50,
$3.50.
about
Yeah.
$3.50,
About
$4.
That's going to last a whole lot longer than
Yeah.
paper towels.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, for example, in my house, it's like 4 of us, and I'm running through a paper towel a week
Yeah.
in the bathroom. That is
Yeah.
to just dry your
Just
hands.
to dry your hands.
So imagine 4 rolls of paper towel
Yeah.
in the house for the month,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I would assume that the average household is about 4 or 5 individuals.
Definitely, definitely.
So you can keep those around everywhere, and that way we are still keeping up with the hygiene protocol. So a lot of us are having a hard time moving away from that hand towel. Get your paper,
Yes.
Get your paper,
paper
indeed.
roller, and you
And like
can
I
use
said,
that.
we have it in the brown paper, and this one is called our bleach paper.
Okay, so bleach paper.
And then,
brown
of course,
paper.
we didn't bring toilet paper. We sell toilet paper. We sell paper towel as well.
Okay.
We sell hand napkins as well.
So there's everything there.
Yes.
And one of the most important things to me, especially having to stay at home, is that you're able to go online and find that trusty menu. Thing, you find something on there, you could cook that easy, quick. Emerson, talk to me, man. You're always upstairs in the kitchen.
Yeah, we have our online, with our menus and stuff.
Yeah.
Easy, like Ms. Mel mentioned, our products when it comes to the dry goods, they're easy to use, pop top, family size, big size, all, different menus you can use for the kids now. The kids are at home. Easter is coming. We have our sardine, our tunas, our canned meats, easy. And like the refrigeration, I mean, this you don't need much, with our products. They're right there. And Jan, I know once you open a Wakana luncheon meat, that's going right away.
Oh, you mean?
Oh, I thought you were
with
going
the
to say
salad
chicken
cream?
sausage.
With your salad cream.
Of course, yeah.
So our products, they're easy
I
to...
mean, right here, you guys would have stopped me, helped me. I don't have to go to the supermarket.
Right,
Yeah.
one basket, we
Yeah.
have everything from ketchup, our beverage, coconut water, we have the big ones and the
The
small
packaged coconut milk, if you're
Yes.
not going to use a whole can, the powder is perfect.
Definitely,
You even have your
definitely.
individual sachets for
Yes, and we have them in
seasonings.
2 sizes. We have the 25 gram, we have the 50 gram.
Okay.
And if you're a larger family, maybe you do a lot of baking, we also have the 1 kg as well, which is
Yeah, the bigger ones.
bigger pack. But going back to back to what Jan mentioned, our focus is basically to help the households in terms of recipes.
Yeah.
So if you visit our Facebook page or our website, throughout this time we'll be constantly uploading different recipes. Today we're actually going to do one which is a colored corned beef sandwich. I mean, it's exciting because you have the kids at home and everybody's getting bored with quarantine, and like Marlene said, we were in the kitchen, now we're in the living room. So you have to find things that would spice up that whole
And the kids want to be
atmosphere at
involved.
home.
Like,
Yes.
I've spoken to so many parents that said they want to change their name. They're tired of hearing mommy, mommy. So get them in the kitchen with you to do some meals, and it's going to help a lot.
Yeah, and with our colored corned beef, going back to Benjamin's, we have so many assorted colors when it comes to Benjamin's coloring. And our corned beef. The only thing that is missing is the bread. So
Colored can.
And you have the baking powder, so you could try and make it on your own too.
exactly.
All right. This sounds good. It sounds like we've got the products we need to make what we need at home while we stay at home.
Yes, and we also have. Emerson, can you pass me the beans?
The lentils.
Which one?
Yes, this is a newbie. We actually just got these in the
This
country.
is not an open and eat
Chickpeas.
product.
This is not an open and eat product. Yes, Marlene, but the instructions is right on the packaging as to how to cook them. But again, in terms of the wide variety of products that Grace Kennedy has, we now have chickpeas and green lentils. So please read the
Very,
instruction.
very
It's not
healthy.
just open like Marlene said and eat. These
And they're
ones
not
do
that
require
hard to cook.
they're not hard
really
to
not.
cook.
They're like, we cook beans, so we know how to do chickpeas and we know how to do lentils.
Yeah.
And they're really healthy products to add to your meal.
Yes, high in protein.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And just in terms of what's going to happen in the state of emergency, are you guys going to be open? Can we get
Our
things-
office still remains open. However, we have certain safety aspects in place. Whenever you enter the compound, there's a wash hand basin. you know, you wash your hands, sanitize them before you enter our office.
Definitely.
We're trying to minimize the number of individuals in our office. Actually, I have been home for the past 2 weeks, working from home.
Nice.
Emerson spent a week at home as well, so we're basically rotating as to who's in the office, and the essential people, well, of course, they have to be there. We have also reduced the time for our merchandisers. Our sales managers, we're asking them to try to communicate through WhatsApp, telephone, whatever it is, in terms of getting in touch with our customers and having them place in their orders. We also have different safety aspects as well involved with our delivery guys, because these are the individuals that has to be.
They're in the front line.
Exactly. So these are different things that, of course, we're trying. Well, we're not trying. We already have put in place. And considering that we're an international company as well, or we do have international influence, we also have different protocols that we need to adhere to internationally as well. So maybe about a month and a half ago, we've already canceled our traveling. So nobody was even traveling within Grace Kennedy. You know, everybody's basically staying put as to their destinations that they were at the point in time.
It sounds like you're definitely doing your part to stay safe, and it is encouraging to hear, because everybody has to do that. We're learning new ways of doing things, but what we do know is that you offer so many helpful products that people can have in their homes right now, whether it's to keep themselves safe and clean, or to keep themselves entertained in the kitchen.
Excellent.
And as John said, your website has all the recipes that people want to try. You also have the archives of our flavor with Abita and Grace and you from the past.
There's quite enough, and the thing about our website is that it's very interactive, because if you even type up, let's say, sauces, you have recipes popping up that shows you exactly
which sauces and whatnot.
You know, you type in corned beef, and then you have recipes popping up to tell you how to go about using our corned beef. Another thing, Marlene, in terms of what Grace Kennedy has been doing, we have also been helping out in terms of individuals that, you know, needed some assistance. So earlier this year, we quote-unquote adopted 10 different families, and what we did was to put together a basket of both dry goods and cleaning products, and we presented them with that. And with the onset of this whole COVID campaign, you know, we went back to them again with a different set of you know, products that should be able to not help them throughout the entire time, but, you know, render some kind of assistance. We're also looking at different people that we're able to help, the nurses, the doctors, people on the front line as well, you know. And not in the sense of monetary donations, but our products that we're able to, you know, help their house, or if you're stuck at work, you're able to utilize those products at work as well to be able to get a meal or a hot drink.
Excellent.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and telling us all about it. You also usually have some great fun stuff happening on your social media and competitions and stuff. So we'll see what innovation you come up with for Easter, right?
That's right.
But this is the perfect time for cooking competition, because a lot of people will have time on their hands.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, guys, everybody out there, just keep abreast of what is happening on our website, on our Facebook page, because there's quite a lot interaction, whether it's information, whether it's recipes, whether it's giveaways like what Marlene said. You know, just keep abreast of it, and I'm sure that you'll be well entertained.
All right. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Now it's time for us to shift gears. Parents, you just heard about the cleaning products and the food products you can get at Grace. Now it's time for us to shift gears to kids time. So it means bring your kids, settle them in front of the television. You can take a little break here, have your coffee, or go online to J&W's Shopping Mart and order your products there with their online shopping. This segment is sponsored by J&W Shopping Mart. And let's get moving into kids time. All right, and yesterday we introduced Kids Time. And now we are back with day 2, and we're bringing back Dr. Panda. Today, Dr. Panda is going to teach us about the family of coronaviruses. So let's check that out.
Last time, we explained how the novel coronavirus can invade the human body. But Toto, do you know where the novel coronavirus came from?
Nope.
Scientists discovered that the novel coronavirus, like many other viruses, came from wildlife.
Wildlife?
Yes! Wildlife means animals that live in the wild. Many deadly virus families often live in animals, like bats. Do you know which of the following animals is considered wildlife? A. Moose chicken. B. Emery's puppy. C. Claire's cat. D. A snake.
A snake?
That's right! Moose chicken, Emery's puppy, and Claire's cat are all domesticated animals. Only a snake is wildlife. Bats are the source of many viruses. They live all around the world, sleep during the day, and come out at night. Bats like to live in groups in dark and wet caves. So once one bat is infected with a virus, many more bats will soon be infected. Scientists have found over 4,100 bat-associated viruses. In fact, just one type of bat can carry up to 130 viruses. But bats can still live a healthy life.
How?
These viruses don't harm bats because their average body temperature is very high, about 40 degrees Celsius, which is considered a fever for humans. This high temperature can trigger the bat's immune system to stop the virus from spreading. Do you know what the normal average human body temperature is? A. 27 degrees Celsius through 30 degrees Celsius. B. 36 degrees Celsius through 37 degrees Celsius. C. 40 degrees Celsius through 42 degrees Celsius.
B.
Correct! A human's average temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius. What's even more amazing is that after many years of evolution, bats can almost perfectly repair their DNA. So, bats rarely get sick, and most viruses can't harm them at all.
Cool!
Bats have a strong immune system, but that also makes them natural hosts to many viruses. Because bats can fly, they spread germs much quicker than other animals. But this is not their fault. Bats live in caves and rarely come into contact with humans. But some greedy people hunt bats and kill them for food. We know that only bats have the special ability to kill viruses with their high body temperature. Humans do not. If we live with a fever of 40 degrees Celsius, all the organs in our body, including our brain and heart, will be damaged. So if we come into close contact with bats or eat them for food, viruses from the bats will infect us and cause serious damage to our body.
No eating bats.
You've got it, Toto! And it's not just bats. Other wildlife are our friends too. We should protect them. Hunting wild animals not only causes harm to humans, but also endangers many animals.
Endangers?
Endangered animals are animals that are becoming extinct. For example, because people have captured so many Chinese pangolins, there are only a few left. If we continue hurting them, the last Chinese pangolin will disappear forever.
No!
That's why we need to protect wildlife together.
Yay!
Hi, Michael Theos here from JNW Shopping Mart, inviting you to try out our new online shopping sensation, jnwshopping.com. Our online versions allow you to shop from the convenience of your cell phone. Our online store allows you to shop for all your groceries, frozen products, beauty supplies, pet supplies, kitchen supplies, wines, and so much more. We at JNW Shopping Mart have made shopping easier for you. Visit us at jnwshopping.com.
And there you have it. That was another edition of Kids Time brought to you by J&W Shopping Mart. And remember to tune in tomorrow at the end of Open Your Eyes, where you can get that little break, parents, when you put them in front of the TV to learn something important. With that, John, we'll take a break and we'll be back with our wrap-up. Stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service excellence in Belize, the Belize Bank Limited recognizes the importance of leading the way as we enter into this fast-growing technological world. Our Belize Bank mobile banking app virtually places a number of
are back.
Just like that, we have come to the end of our program for today. We understand how important it is for us to become the superhero of staying at home and keep our distance from each other.
Yeah, that's right. And we did quite a bit. We do want to let you know, of course, that we are going to be with you. We're going to be your eyes, your ears. We're going to keep you updated.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the start of the state of emergency. You can tune in to us right here at Open Your Eyes, and we will be with you.
Definitely.
We are going to get through this. This is going to be just a minor sacrifice for a larger impact, and that is reducing and preventing the spread of COVID-19.
Definitely.
And so we want to remind everyone to stay safe. Remember that at midnight tonight, as in 12:01, 12:02, you are then we are all in a state of emergency. You cannot be outside of your house. Stay home. I don't have to say like Dr. Cuellar. I'll just say stay home.
Yes.
But we'll bring you more information as the time progresses. We got to close it off. Remember, if you want to contact us,
You could always check us out. Give us a line. Send us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
you can also drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ.
Check us out on Instagram at OYE Belize. And don't forget, man, look, you could join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
As per usual, keep your eyes, your mind,
And your hearts open and your hands clean and physical distance. And do so from home. But we are closing off. We started it yesterday, and by all means, send us your videos of your dancing, your singing. Maybe you created a COVID-19 song.
Wow.
Yesterday we saw Dr. Pineda share his song, and we closed off with that. Today we have one of my favorites, Frankie Reno, who we saw the Institute of Creative Arts posting this video.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's a great way to close off the show. Don't forget, you can send us your videos as well.
All right.
That's it for us. Have a great day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.